and welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Story. I'm really excited for this. Thank you for joining me. So, a few weeks ago, I went to the screening of a short film called Overcome, which was written and directed by Theophilus Owusu-Acheaw. He was gracious enough to talk to me about his film, and this is that interview. So, again, thank you, Theo, for talking to me today. We are going to be talking about your film, Overcome, which
Yes.
is a film that is about loss and grief and faith and moving forward with all of that. So, first of all, like, congratulations on
Yes.
getting it made and doing everything to pull all that together. And because I know it takes a lot of effort to
Sure.
create something. What, in your own words, is Overcome about? What do you want people to know about the story?
Yeah. I mean, overcome it, it's in the word, right? So I think I wanted overcome to be about just perseverance, just moving forward, just overcoming. But it was like the path of getting there. It was like, how did we get to that point where I could finally say I have overcome? So it was just showing the whole process, showing the whole journey is what I really want to show. So I made overcome, yeah.
Yeah. And the film is about a young father, a single father now called Donovan, and he's processing a lot of grief with his daughter and trying to work through life with her.
Uh-huh.
I feel like when people hear the word overcome, they might have a certain kind of connotation attached to that word. But in your own like words and your own thoughts, what does overcome mean to you specifically?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just knowing that there's no matter the struggle, no matter the whatever in front of you, the trial, I believe that we can overcome. And because as like you said, this is a faith-based movie, having that faith in God, having that faith in someone, was near and dear to me because I wanted to show that we can do it with him. And if you have that faith, if you want to seek that faith, that is what overcomes for. It's just a way to get people talking, just a way to get people engaged and curious about things, curious about life, curious about how, maybe I'm alone, but I don't have to go through it alone. So yeah, just following Donovan's story, of course, as he's a single father and having to deal with, the death of his wife. I mean, that's like one of the biggest things where he's mentally going through a lot of things while his mother's dead, while his father is a drunk father. So it's I tried to beat my character down as much 'cause I feel like that makes the best story, but just showing that process, just showing that determination that no matter what is thrown at you, you can. So yeah, that's what I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
you on your Instagram mention the word through, like going through something. Because I feel like when people hear overcome, they might think it's like, oh, I need to get over. But it's not actually just about getting over. It's like what you're saying, the process of going through it, which
Yes.
I think is very interesting and it's good to highlight because people might have a different kind of word. It's like you need to go
Yeah.
through it and also like what you learn going through it and the person you become going through it. That's kind of what overcome means.
Yeah, it's the process. No, I like just to show that, it is what makes you. It is how you like we sometimes we can be defined by our traumas, but we want to be defined by how we get out of those things too. And how we perceive ourselves as people to push forward. So yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Sure.
I was at your screening in Toronto a few weeks ago, and just listening to some of the cast talk about making the film, it seemed like there were a few challenges that each person faced while making it. And I wanted to talk about your take
Mhm.
on your motivation to keep going when you're facing those challenges, trying to create this project. What
Yeah.
keeps you getting up in the morning and saying, I need to see this through?
Well, first of all, it's all glory to God, so there's that. But at the same time, it is the I know that it's for someone. I think knowing that we all go through problems and trials, I feel like even if it speaks to one person, that's my motto. One person. That doesn't gotta be 10 million. It don't gotta be 3,000. It has to hit one person. And that is my goal. As long as we hit one person, then I know that what we're creating is for somebody. And I mean, you do this because, we're filmmakers too, right? We want to share stories too. But it's just so much more than that. It's not just about a job or work, but it's knowing that, yes, these things will come, but we're going to figure it out together. We're going to figure it out how we can do this, not alone, but together. So that's the biggest thing. people and God. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. So,
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
Oh, I want to stay in Donovan's mind for a little bit. So again, you said he's going through all this grief, all this loss. His wife is dead, his mom is dead, his dad is an alcoholic. It
Mhm.
seems like he's had this kind of tough, rough kind of upbringing. And now that he has a chance to create this ideal life, that also
Mhm.
gets taken away from him. So I think a lot of people have some kind of experience with that, whether that's losing a loved one or losing a job or losing a relationship. You're not just losing the thing or the person, you're also losing your ideas of what could have been and your hopes and your dreams of what could have been. So, what would you say to somebody who is going through that kind of grief?
Mhm. Wow. Um, I will say this, and I will say this for myself. I've never gone through that. Thank God, because I know that's tough. But my advice to somebody is obviously because this is like I said, this is a faith-based movie. Having that faith in God is one of the biggest things, and that is when you cast your cares towards Him. That is when pain, relief, all that stuff can go away because in His hands it is best. In God's hands it is where we find fulfillment. And that is like one of the things that I would always recommend to people because again, during the story, Donovan, I don't want to spoil it, but Donovan doesn't get um he doesn't move forward until he has an encounter with God. So that was like the biggest like 180 turn that Donald was dealing with because he had to mess up with his father, he had his wife that he's thinking about, and then he had his daughter that he has to take care of and be a father, right? And not not be a bad father, right? So he's kind of like just dealing with that, and the biggest thing that I would point towards someone is to go to God about it. Go to um yeah, go to someone who's better out of your hands. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'll
yeah.
say for
Yeah. I think like sometimes I think about loss because it happens to everybody, right? Sadly, this is part of the human experience. And I think sometimes I get scared of like, oh my gosh, what if I lose this person or lose this thing eventually? Um, and something I always tell myself is that loss is part of the human experience, but I think also the fact that we're able to feel the
Mhm.
sadness and mourn, but also still find joy in those moments and able to still keep going on in our lives with all those feelings. It's very strange and very sad, but I think it's also very beautiful that we're able to hold
Exactly.
all of those things.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like it's not saying that your things are illegitimate or what you're feeling is not right. No, you're supposed to feel it with it. It's funny. I'm reading the Bible and David, he is pouring his he has a thing called Psalms and he's pouring out his life. He's just talking, talking. And he has his human moments where it says, I want them to be fatherless. Like who says that? No,
Mhm.
very but he is honest. He's saying this is what's in my heart, and I don't know how else to express it. I don't know how else to
Yeah.
say it. So feel it, and then allowing ourselves to filter those things out by God and go through it is what I would recommend. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's 100% for sure.
Mhm. Something that I've said on my channel a few times now is that having something that you love or that you care about is a great motivation for change or to just keep persevering, to keep going. For you, like I like what you said about how it wasn't just the film, it was also like you're thinking of the people who are going to be watching it. That's like a big motivation for you. For Donovan, it's his daughter, it's his faith ultimately that keeps him going. Why do you think those things push
Mm.
us to become better or
Yeah.
push us to go through certain things?
I would say because I, I think when you get outside of yourself, it's when you can actually do something. So when we're so focused on us, in our hearts, and maybe I don't know, but when you're in your bed alone and you're alone, you feel like, yo, I'm not that good at certain things. And I know that if I'm have a motivation for someone, if I have a motivation for something else, I know that that is what I'm pushing towards, right? If it's just for me, sadly, we don't really care about ourselves that much. But when we think of other people, that I feel like that is when we like kick it into high gear. That's when we keep going. That's when, we're able to push more because it's something greater than us. And that's everybody wants to be part of something. But if you're doing something that's if you're doing something that's not about you, it makes it so much better. Like I'm a part of something. And that I believe is something that most people want to strive for, whether it's not with God, whatever it is, but it's just being a part of something, being a part of a community. saying this is what we're doing it for. I think that is one of the biggest things because when humans get together and when we collaborate, when we do something, we can make a lot of noise, and I'm really happy about that. So, yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
Do you have any stories like that for yourself of something helping you
Yeah.
get through a hard time?
Um, yeah, I mean, well, I've obviously had my fair share of relationships, so I'll say that. I think there was a point in time where I said I wrote this movie in 2023, and particularly that was one of the hardest moments in my life. Obviously, I was going through a breakup at the time, so
Mm.
just dealing with that and having like, okay, yo, I thought it was going to be what it was going to be. I thought it would be something else, but it wasn't. And then I had to figure out and pivot that and change. Okay, where do I go from here? You know, it's not the end of the world. There is more. There is someone maybe later down the road, but there's right now I need to fix myself. Right now I need to become who I want to become, right? Become
Mm.
the person who God is calling me to become. So, um, yeah, that's something that I would say that when I was writing it, in my room, it's just like, I want something because I'll say this previously, I was writing movies and TV shows that had bad endings,
Right.
right? And then there's a good ending at the end. I can't really say it. I won't say it. But Donovan finds fulfillment later on, right? So that is one of the things where, you know, I kind of switch. I said, no, I'm not gonna make a bad ending. I'm gonna make a good ending. I'm gonna make an ending that makes sense and an ending that's uplifting because it's about overcoming. It's not about overcoming going through it and then failing. No, it's about
Mm.
overcoming and then eventually getting to what you need to get to. So um, that's what I would say. I would think it was relationship heavy for me at that point, but thank God to be healed and thank God to trust in Him and through every process. That's where I'm at. So yeah.
Out of curiosity, why do you think why were you writing so many bad endings before this?
You know what? I maybe I just wanted to just put people on like a twist. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to like have it so like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But like then I realized I don't want to be that director. I don't want to be that writer that oh we know what's gonna happen at the end. He's not gonna win or whatever, right? So I was making those bad endings and it wasn't conducive. Like I just didn't want to be put in that box. I wanted to um be someone who was positive, someone who was understanding, someone who was this because there's so many directors that have inspired from like Ryan Coogler to Tyler Perry to Spike Lee to a
Mm.
bunch of these guys. That was just one of the biggest things where, you know, I kind of said I want change.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then you mentioned community, which I really like because I wanted to talk about that as well. In
Yeah.
this movie, Donovan does have people who are around him, and they're not just telling him, again, you get over it, you need to move on, but they're also willing to walk the road he's on with him. And
Yeah.
so I want to ask you, like, why is community important to you, but also why do you think community is important in this kind of film?
Yeah, no, I think for me, community is important to me because it's like, you know, you go through so much alone. Like you know, like with at times where you feel like it is hard to talk to somebody, I want people to know that you can talk to somebody. So in this instance, Donovan had John, which is his best friend, right?
Yeah.
In the movie, I felt like they didn't have too much screen time, and that's something that I will fix later on. But I just wanted to show that like Donovan can leave his daughter Toriana with John anytime. And like John is so ready to do it, so ready to help. And that's like one of the biggest things that I want to show, right? That he had somebody, right? He had somebody who was ready, willing, and able to go with him. So I think for me is that, you know, you go through life. I feel like if you allow yourself to invite the people that you trust, invite the people that you know for a fact that I can come to you about something and we can converse and we can figure out a way path forward and then we can also figure out a way how to not repeat what we want to repeat. So community is one of the biggest things. Again, putting it back to the Bible.
Mhm.
But it says one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. So I'm just saying, just showing the unity of when you're with somebody, when you have a community, friend, relationship, whatever it is, that something you can move forward, you can
Mhm.
progress, you can overcome. So yeah, that was the biggest thing. It wasn't just Donovan, but the village around him. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's so important too, especially I'll say as like young adults, like when I moved around a little bit. So moving to Toronto and being like, that was something I thought too. I need a community because I know how important that is. And just going through life, not quite finding where you fit in, quite finding who your people are. I think I've really realized how important it is. Just you
Right.
also know that there are people around you who have your back. But also I think there's something to be said about how having community helps you grow.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
is my theory, but I think it's true. Like it's like they uplift you not just like emotionally, but I actually think also even like physically, like it's in your network and the people that you know, you're able to learn from each other, grow, give each other opportunities if you ever need it or you
Yeah,
just need someone to be with you when you're down. That's
yeah,
also helping you grow as well.
for sure.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like one of the things we want to harp on is that that community is you're learning, you're exchanging, just even within even making this movie, like we're exchanging ideas. We're saying, hey, I like the shot. Hey, can we put a light in the corner over here? Or hey, can you say this line a bit differently? Just hearing everybody's perspective allows for the best thing to be created, the best thing to. So yeah, 100%.
Mhm. That's really cool. I also like what you said before about how um being a part of something greater than you is also a really good motivation. I don't know if I've necessarily thought about it that way before, but I do think that's true of, yeah, when you know that it's not just you that you're fighting for or living for, when there's other people that you know will be
Yeah,
blessed by this thing, will be helped by this thing, then that actually, for some
100%.
reason, I do think God gave us that gift of when you know somebody else will be helped by it, you feel
Yeah,
like you want to do it even more.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what are your hopes for this film? When people watch it, what do you want it to do for them? What do you want it to do wherever it goes?
Yeah. I'm all about God's timing. I think one thing I know that, He will make it happen when it happens. But for me personally, what I want is that people to really just feel inspired, really just feel like there is something more. This is not the end, and you can move forward. I think having that belief, having that motivation is big. And uh, whether it's Netflix or maybe we put it into an actual feature. That is one of the things to obviously redo the film. I would love to do it. But uh, yeah, wherever that goes. So eventually we're obviously going through our festival stream at the moment, but once that's over, for sure to be released on YouTube. Sorry about
You're like
that.
speaking to existence.
You know what I'm saying? But well, yeah, no, that's eventually where we go at. Yep, available for everybody to watch. So
Cool. And where can people find you, find out more about you, or find out more about the film if they're interested?
yeah. So you can follow me. I'm on Instagram at t.ow3. And then also you can follow the Overcome film, overcome_film. And then you can also finally follow TO Productions One, which is the whole production company that is doing what we do. So faith-based movies. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to say or add or just tell people?
Just wanted to encourage people, like, there is more. There isn't just the end, and there's something for you to push forward. All I wanted to do is invite the name of God, invite the name of Jesus. So, if people are curious, if people want to know more, that they can always dig deep, local church or wherever it is. There is something more. Someone's waiting for you, and someone loves you. So, yeah. But that's all I would say. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you for talking to me. Once again, a huge thank you to Theo for talking to me about his film and for being my first guest on this new segment. It was a lot of fun chatting with him and getting to know more about his process and more about his hopes for his film. If you want to follow him and get to know more about the movie and all his other stuff coming out, you can do that. I will put all his information in the comment section and the description below. I'm looking forward to doing more of this. I'm looking forward to making new connections and getting to talk to different people doing different things. I think it'll be very interesting. So stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in my next video.